Hello and welcome to today's episode where we'll be talking about beyond the AI hype. I'm joined with Bulama Yusuf. Hi, Bulama.
Hi, Michael.
Hello, hello. Nice to have you. We've met some time ago during one of the networking events, and Bulama is a fascinating guest because he has the know-how when it comes to AI. And it's not that the knowledge just comes from reading the news and so on, but it's because Bulama is a software developer. So, just to give you an insight, Bulama is the founder of Intellectual Apps UK Limited, a software development company specializing in mobile and enterprise solutions. With a robust background in software engineering spanning over 20 years, Bulama and his team serve as a solution architect, bringing innovative solutions to complex business challenges.
Mhm.
Does that sound right?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for the introduction. I'm pleased to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, we obviously want to talk about beyond the AI hype and practical ways businesses can be more productive with AI. But
Mhm.
let's start with the hype. Why is there a hype and why is everyone so frantic about AI?
So yes, why is there hype? Um, I mean, in tech generally, whenever there's something new, there always seems to be this hype behind it. Whether it's new ways of handling data, big data in the past, you had other services oriented architecture releases, and so many things. But with I think it struck a nerve with society because here now we have these computers which we tell things, tell you what to do and does things for us. Now being able to think and interact. So, but before that happened, I mean, way back, probably from the 50s, 60s, 70s, AI had always been in a gradual development all through. So people who had the know-how, who were in academia, they always knew about AI and its advances. But then somewhere along the line, I think in November 2022 or so, OpenAI released the first version of ChatGPT to the public. I mean, to them, it was like 3.0 or 3.5 at that point because they had been doing several releases. And then all of a sudden, they have this quick sign up rate. I think they got like 1 million subscribers in very few, short period of time. And it's like, wow, finally these computers have caught up with us. I'm talking to it, it's like a human that's there, to someone who doesn't have the know-how. It's almost like a talking with a real human being. And then from the other end, they were pushing the narrative that this is going to take over humanity, this is going to take over people's jobs, businesses are doomed. And truly, at some point, some businesses that are publicly traded, started losing value and was all attributed to AI. So that created a lot of hype. And they say you are scared of what you don't understand. So
Hmm.
it all came all of a sudden. People were wondering what's all this about, and the thing is going to wipe businesses away. It's going to, end humanity, but not really, right? It really just changes the playing field. What businesses could do before or what humans could do before can be enhanced with AI. And I'm sure you might have heard the popular saying, AI won't take over your job or your business. It's people or businesses that use AI that will take over. So yes, I think that's where the hype comes from. Yeah.
Okay, so let's still stick with the basics. What is AI? How would you define AI?
So it's all in the name. It says artificial intelligence. I think for decades, developers, machine learning experts, data engineers, and all of that, they've been trying to replicate the human brain as much as possible. And I think over the years they've been able to do that. So AI is intelligence that runs in machines, but the basis of it, it mimics human intelligence, right? So, and hence the name artificial intelligence. But the difference there is humans are limited in how much we can do, how much we can process. We get tired, we get weak, we need to rest, we have emotions that affect our way of doing things, and all of that. Now you have intelligence in machines and they don't have any of those emotional parts. They don't get tired and they can just keep on going and going and going.
The
Yeah.
perfect employee.
Yes. And it doesn't complain either, at least for now.
Right. So how did you get into, let's call it AI? I know it's a very generic term, but let's just stick with that because that is what is being used with by the society. So how did you get into AI?
So just like everyone else, I saw it as a hype. I had known about it much earlier, maybe 10 years earlier. I had friends who were playing around it or doing it in school, and they come and show you this neat little thing, and it's all cool, but doesn't really do much, right? So I always just ignored it. And then ChatGPT happened, and I still didn't take it so seriously. I thought it was just very good marketing coming from these guys this time around, because you had Bitcoin, you had Web3, you had NFTs. I didn't really take all those things seriously initially. But with AI, it was a bit different. I saw that all these large companies were really going into it. I tried it out, and it was really intriguing. It was really interesting. I'm talking with this chatbot, but it thinks. That's how I see it. So it was really interesting.
So how did you feel during that interaction with the computer?
I was like, these guys have finally been able to replicate human intelligence. Because there's so many nuances in intelligence that we take for granted. The more I use AI, the more I respect human intelligence. We take ourselves for granted. There's so many things we do that are really complex, but it's just part of us and we think it's easy and straightforward. So that really got me thinking. And with my background in software engineering, building systems, and solving problems for businesses, I saw this as a way of, making these solutions we build even better. So
Hmm.
I had to take a step back, find all the information I could find, read all the research I could read, get my hands on all the software things I could get on my hands on, and practically just go into it because that's how I had learned everything, in my career. I'm in tech not because of anything else, but because of curiosity. I find tech to be very deep. You get in there, you lose yourself, you learn so much, and then you create something and people use it, which is very, fascinating.
Hmm.
So I did the same with AI. And when I did that, I now saw its true potential. So I'm quite different from that machine learning expert or data analyst or data scientist, people who build these models from the ground up. Mine is more like taking these models and applying them in, like everyday solutions that we create. And that's how I got into it.
Okay, yeah, makes sense, and we'll talk about that in a second. But if you could tell us also your story, how did it all start from you? Like, how did you become a software developer?
I think it's way back to when I completed my secondary school. So there's usually like a 6 month break after you finish secondary school and before you get into university. My parents enrolled me for this computer course that would take 6 months, just basically just covering that whole time. And I didn't like them for doing that because I just wanted to play video games with my friends, And this was around 1999. There was a Nintendo 64 then, really popular where I was playing games. And then I had to go for these classes 3 times a week. So I wasn't pleased about it. But when I look back now, that single event is the single most important thing in my career because that's what got me started.
Right.
So I learned programming there. I think I learned QBasic and I learned macros and Excel and all of that. And I really loved it. And I did graphics and word processing and all of that. And, so I was just buzzing with all these skills. I got into the university, and in one of my early classes, the lecturer asked if anyone could help him write a program to compute results for his students and so on. And I put up my hand. It was a very large class. I think there were lots of students in the class. And it wasn't like this kind of theater arrangement where the seats go up, they just level on the ground. So he couldn't see me because I was at the back and I was so small. I put up my hand. He said I had to even stand up, and he still couldn't see me because I was really that small. He said after the class I should come and meet him and we discuss. So I went. He had this little computer center. He told me what he wanted, and I took it up and I wrote him the program in I think GW Basic that computes the results and all of that. And to cut the long story short, I built that solution for him. He started using it. My department found out about the solution and they found out I did it. He was from a different department. So they said I should come and do it for my department as well. I did it. By the time I left the university, the whole university was using that software to compute results, and I was like a consultant, you
So
know.
true entrepreneurship at university.
Yes. So I was going from department to department, installing, configuring, training, and all of that. And I was even helping like computer science students with their own work and projects and stuff. But I studied accountancy for that matter. So that's how I got into tech. And I was like a local, we call it local champion. When you think about computers and programming, they just think about me.
Yeah, like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes. But deep down, I knew then that I didn't really know much, even though I was like the best person around that did these things, but I knew I didn't know much. And my problem was, why do I write code in Excel and GW Basic, but it can be seen? I don't want people to see the code. I just want the program to run and then it does things and the code is separate. And I knew that I had to learn more to
Right.
understand that. And that kicked off another series of long stories, which I don't think we will have time for.
Well, if they are business related, then yeah, please share with them on the Scale Faster podcast.
Yes, yes. So yes, I just went for more training. I picked up more skills. I did computer training for a while. I taught people for like 2 years before I went off to work at another company to build software because I really wanted to write software. But in between, I wrote a financial application all in Excel, and I was going to churches to sell them that particular software. So this was similar to the one I did for the university, but this was financial, tracking and all of that. So I'd go to churches and tell them, "Oh, I have this software. This is what it does. I'll do a demo." And a few of them bought, the software,
And how
and
did you feel selling your own software?
it was really, it felt really nice, really satisfying. But all I could think of was, how do I make it better for them? Does it really solve their problem? So I was really in contact with them, and they kept on telling me, add this, add that, and I kept on doing it. And I was looking for more churches to sell the software to. Um, the first sale I made from that software was what I used to pay for my first IT certification.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's how I just kept on going. And I worked at this company where I wrote software for like 6 years. But I think the entrepreneurial bug was still in me,
Right.
and that was when I decided to now go off and start my own company.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's a fascinating story. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, when it comes to practical ways of making your business more productive with AI, where do we start with this? How can we even approach this subject?
Yes, a very good question. Because I understand it can be quite overwhelming for businesses, depending on the level. If you're a small business, they have their own, piece of stress that they're going through and overwhelm. Medium-sized businesses, all the way to even the enterprise-size businesses. And then you have this hype coming in, people saying all sorts of stuff, the ones that are valid, the ones that are invalid, all being thrown out there. And then to make it even worse, you have the pace of change and improvement becoming very rapid in tech and specifically in AI itself. Because even those who are in AI are finding it hard to even keep up because the pace is so fast. Today you have this model release and it's the best, it beats all the benchmarks. And then in a few days another one is released that breaks that, and it just keeps on going. So when you look at it from the point of view of a business owner or a business person, you're dealing with your day-to-day business activities, you're hearing hype about your business being phased out if you don't use AI, and then you don't even know where to start with AI itself. So I think what people should do, especially those in businesses, first of all, you need to even understand your business and how things work, where your inefficiencies are. And this is independent of AI itself. Because you can't even improve your business if you don't know where the bottlenecks are. So you need to understand that and, of course, find a solution to that. While at the same time, you're understanding and reading about what AI is all about, trying to filter as much as possible the noise and get to the real stuff. So you can identify people in doing a similar business with you that may be using AI. You can talk to them. You can read about it. You can, do your own research. But at the back of your mind, what you're really trying to do is find things that AI can do that helps you with the inefficiencies in your business.
Right. Could you give some examples of how one could use AI to their own benefit, especially if it's to do with growing a business?
So AI is very good with text related things, right? So it's generative AI, which is a part of it. And messaging, marketing are activities that almost every business has to do. Now we have copywriters, we have people who, do websites, who write marketing copy and all of that. It's a skill that takes years to build, and it has to do with understanding the way humans think and behave and react and understanding of your industry to come up with the right messaging to reach out to your niche or your audience. Now, AI gives you access to that. You can ask it to help you with your marketing messaging as long as you prompt it in the right way. This is the nature of my audience. This is the kind of business I do. I want to do this campaign to reach out to this type of person. Help me with headlines and ideas. And to quickly spit it out for you.
But is that using generative AI text tools like Open or ChatGPT, or are there any specific marketing focused platforms that allow you to use AI as you've discussed?
So for this, ChatGPT works very well. You can just go to it, ask it these questions, and then it gives you, generates that text, and you'll be amazed at what it can do. Another thing business can do is you can take your previous messaging and marketing and copy and text and all of that, and tell the AI to write in that tone, in that language, because businesses have a persona themselves. There are certain ways they interact with their audience, and if you don't use AI well, you will sound off brand. So you can take your previous marketing campaigns, put it in there, and it helps you generate that text. And so that's one way you can do it. And it saves you a lot of time. It can give you a whole batch and list of things you can use.
But can anyone do it? Just copy paste your previous content into ChatGPT, or do we need you and your company's services to make it like a robust system where we feed the information and build this kind of model that depicts your company's or brand's tone of voice, how would that work?
A very good question. Anyone can do it, and I think that's the power of AI. Anyone can do it. You can just pick it up, interact with it, ask it these questions, go back and forth, and you get the results. But someone who has been doing that kind of work for years will certainly produce better outcomes, better results than someone who doesn't have that background experience. So someone who has that domain knowledge would perform better. So that's where the difference comes in. And also that's where the saying that it's people who use AI that would take someone out of business comes in as well. Because if this was the playing field, the professionals and experts were probably playing at this level and you were just here. Now they have AI to support them, and that includes your competition as well. They either use it themselves or they use agencies that use AI to help them with their marketing. It pushes them way up here.
Right.
And then you're almost just lost in the market because this is what people are doing, and the rate at which they're doing it is so high, you can't just keep up. So if you just go in there as a business owner, not using any special consultant or agency, and you use AI yourself, it kind of tries to pull you up to a certain level. So that's what AI does. It has changed, the playing field. People are operating
Right.
at a higher level. Yeah.
Right. And then with AI, is it limited to just receiving feedback as to the topics to discuss and maybe even have the whole article written by ChatGPT? Or can you use it for, let's say, instant messaging, where the bot, by using AI, would be able to interact with customers?
Yes. So I'll answer that question in two parts. First part is you generally don't just want to take what the AI spits out and use because so many things may be off. You see, the advantage we have as humans, as business owners, as customers, is that we have connections, we establish connections, and we work in a network, believe it or not. So people want to do business with people and not machines. So even if you take the message that the AI gives you and you don't improve it and you just put it out there as you as a person, you put it out there, people would know that this is not coming, there's something off about what you're saying.
And
Yes, you're
how
a
would they
human.
recognize it?
Yes.
But how would they realize it's slightly off?
I think that's the innate intelligence we have as humans. I really can't explain it, but you would know. For example, it's like when you're chatting with someone, text messaging, I sending messages. If the person at the other end gives their phone to someone else to continue that message or that interaction with you, you would know that this is not this person interacting with me. Their choice of words, the tone, the punctuation, the way they even spell the words, all of that are things your mind picks off on, but you don't even know. But when it's off, you just know. So when someone takes what AI spits out and then they just publish it, I mean, I feel the longer the text, the more people will see, no, this is not coming from this person because that natural connection is not there. So you
Right.
want that to be a way it just suggests things to you. You take it as a foundation. Someone says it's just like the base of the cake. You need to ice it. You need to inject your own, personality into it, and then you put it out there. So that's I think that's one of the ways. What was the question again? I forgot what I was trying to
Yeah.
answer.
Okay. So, what other ways can you see of using AI to increase business productivity?
Oh yes, that reminds me what I wanted to say. So I have seen you're asking how the AI can actually chat and interact on its own with others. AI can do that. Recently, I saw a video talking about how AI is being used in generating leads for businesses. So it goes to the internet, looks for, so you tell it the kind of people you're looking for to interact with and connect with. It goes through the internet, scrapes all their details, gets the name, gets their emails, finds out things about their company, does research about them on LinkedIn, find out what they like, what they don't like, puts all of that together, sets up campaigns whereby it reaches out to these people on your behalf, giving them targeted messaging. And when they respond, it can either let you know or it can carry on with that discussion towards the goal you set, which is either to set up an appointment or to get them to buy. Right? This is like an advanced version of someone doing, sales, marketing and sales. But we see it with chatbots, right? On websites, you go on websites and then you see chatbots. The only issue with those chatbots is that they have like a decision, tree kind of interaction. If you say this, they'll say that. If you say this, they'll say that. If you don't say what they expect, they kind of get lost. But with AI, it's able to take what you've said in terms of the text you've given it or what you have spoken to it, find out the meaning of what you're saying, and respond based on that. And where I even find the AI being very intelligent is that they're even able to tell what you're not saying, but you need to know. Right? So they can read between the lines. And the interaction just goes back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do they know how to read in between the lines?
So I think the people who develop these AI models have done a very good job at matching how the human brain works. So what they've been able to create is almost a copy of what the human brain or how the human brain behaves and interacts. So when it interacts with people, it's not just the interaction. It's taking note of who you are, if you've told it that, what you've said in the past, the kind of words you are using, the meanings of those words, why you would choose to use that word, where are you moving towards. And then it has lots of those kinds of interactions already in its mind, you know, that it
Right.
knows about. So it sees clearly what you're trying to achieve because it has seen patterns of that so many times before. And I guess that's how it's able to now see and read in between the lines.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. And going back to the marketing, not tool, but the idea of AI being able to scrape the internet and then use targeted advertising, is there a platform, a software that's out there that we could refer to?
So where I saw this, the person didn't mention the name of the platform. They said it's in development, and they reached out to him. Was a video somewhere on YouTube. They reached out to him to talk about it. But then I went to the comments and I was reading, and someone mentioned that I think the platform is called Laser. It's
Right.
Lyzr. Funny spelling. And that's the. So I went to the platform and I checked it out, and I saw that okay, the logo they had, because even on the video the logo was blurred out, so I couldn't tell. So that's the one for the marketing, and they're not even fully rolled out yet.
Hmm.
But if you go to OpenAI's platform, they have a marketplace where they have all these tools that people have written on top of ChatGPT. And I think they're even categorized. You can find them by category of what you want, whether it's marketing, sales, copywriting. So when you go to the OpenAI site and you go to the marketplace, you have a whole bunch of tools that people have there. And even online, there are quite a number of them. Whether it's for image generation, you have things like Mid-Journey to generate images. If you want to chat or interact with your PDFs. You have platforms for that. And recently I was at the AI meetup. There's some people working with AI in media to even come up with movies. So they combine different parts. So one AI creates the script, another AI does the image generation, another AI puts the story together, another one does the voicing, another one does the music, and another one directs it. And they produce this, complete movie. Watch, like, I think, a 2-minute trailer from that event. So there are lots of them. If you just go and Google AI for marketing or AI tools for sales,
Okay.
AI tools for copywriting, you get a
Yeah.
lot of them out there. And I think for now, due to the hype, it's almost like a bubble, like a dot-com bubble. You have so many tools all over the place claiming that they do one thing or the other. And I think the only way you can really figure out what works is by trying them and seeing what works for you, asking others what did they use for their business, what have they tried, and then you try those and see if it works as well. And over time, the successful ones would be the only ones left. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, obviously, this would mean that a business owner would have to do the research themselves and probably get some education and so on. But as we know, business owners are very busy doing what they do, running businesses with all the aspects of running a company. So, is there a shortcut? Is that what you provide basically as a company, as a service?
Yeah, so there are shortcuts. Of course, you can always go to an agency and say, these are the problems we have, this is what we want to achieve, and help us out. So my company, yes, we do that as well, in terms of giving people direction on how to use AI, and more specifically how to come up with like proof of concept. So that places us in a certain range of the market for people who are looking to use software to improve their processes. And with the AI models that we have today, we're able to infuse all of that into providing them, specific solutions to help them deal with their business challenges. If you need someone to help you with sales or marketing, you can always reach out to a consultant. You can always reach out to an agency to help you with that, depending on what you are operating with. And of course, you always have to do it yourself. But as you mentioned, you may be overwhelmed and not have the time to do it. So you will want done for you kind of solutions. And that's where my company comes in. Yeah.
Right. And what's the approach nowadays? Because in the past, let's say 20 years ago, if, let's say in engineering, if you wanted to have a digital drawing tool, you would go for CAD or AutoCAD, one of those pieces of software. And it was a good investment because you could use it for at least another 5, 10 years. Whereas you mentioned earlier that AI is changing so quickly. So how do you know which solution to go for? So that it doesn't become obsolete within months.
Another very good question. So I can't tell for sure, but there are certain things you can look out for. One is to see what's their user base like, right? Is it something that is really popular? And if it is popular, does it solve your specific need, right? Because these days you hardly purchase software and run on your own system. It's all running in the cloud, SaaS-based kind of solutions. So that's one way you can check if it would solve your problem and if they will be around for a while. They have a good user base, then most likely they would run. Uh, but then you also want to do a little bit more research. If you can find the tools who are transparent about the kinds of models they use, I think that would help. If you come across any tool that tells you they can switch and use any AI model, I believe that tool would be much more useful than a tool that is only tied to a specific AI model,
Hmm.
because it means they've detached themselves from those models And as those models keep on improving, they have a wide range to select from. Then you also want to look at tools that understand your own specific industry, because it means they will keep on optimizing for that industry. If it's a generic tool, then you have to be aware of it, that they may decide to pivot one day and it may not be useful to you, depending on the specific things you're using it to. So if it's something that's really niche for your industry, you'd want to find tools that are focused for that industry. Even if there's another tool that does the same thing, but it's more generic, it's better you lean towards the one that's industry specific, because it would give you exactly what you want, and the optimizations that would come would be for that particular industry you're in, as against a generic one.
But is there a risk that business owners will then sort of commence this journey of chasing technology and learning a lot, like even Mid-Journey that you mentioned, the image generating AI available through Discord? It takes time to learn the prompts and understand how it all works, and even the logins and so on. And by the time you figure this out, some time will go by, and suddenly you might realize that actually there's something else. And it feels like there's a risk of business owners now jumping on this journey where they chasing technology rather than focusing on the strategic growth of the business. So wouldn't it make more sense to use your company or someone like you that has the knowledge, the insider knowledge of what's happening, and this will allow to build a more robust and time-proof solution so that we don't get caught out in the future?
Yes, of course. If you do it yourself, you run the risk of being locked in, it taking more of your time, and only for you to realize it doesn't even solve the problem you want, either because the technology has evolved and left what you wanted to do, or you didn't do that proper analysis to find out if it's a good fit. And that's where people like me and my company come in, because it's not like, oh, you want to use AI and then we go off and bring AI and use it for your company. We have to understand that, because the technology needs to work for your business, not the other way around. If you make it work the other way around, then it's a recipe for disaster. So we need to understand what it is you do, what journey are you on, what are you trying to achieve, what do you already have on ground in terms of your processes, your technology, your people. And when we understand all of that as a baseline, we can now turn around and say, this is the best approach to solve these problems or these challenges. And this approach involves using this particular tool because it allows you to do A, B, C. And even though we are going to use this tool, we know that we can easily switch you to something else if there is need to do that, because we have done the risk assessment of that tool. And we know what series of steps to take and how to approach, that solution. That's the advantage you get from using seasoned professionals. I mean, that's why the experience is there. We've done it for years. We know what works, we know what doesn't work, and we bring all of that experience to you instead of you taking the time as a business owner away from your business, figuring this out. I tell people that it's easier for us as professionals to understand someone's business and help them than it is for the business owner to figure tech out. It's going to take them longer, and then it's just a journey to the bottom. So it's easier for us to come in and understand what their business is all about and provide them the solution. So any smart business owner should be looking at that at this moment. How do I get help from outside to help my business? Now, depending on what the business is and what they do and what they want to achieve, we could also put strategies in place to help them bring some of this talent in-house. Because for some businesses, it's better for them to have these things in-house because they have an advantage for doing that. So part of our solution could be identifying talent and placing talent in that business to do what they want. Virtually just replacing ourselves, as long as if it's the best thing for the business. And we just keep on giving that support in the background, and consult with them as they move on.
Yeah, makes sense. And I really like what you said, that it's quicker for you to learn someone's business than it is for the business or business owner to learn about tech and stay on top of development.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we talked about marketing and how that could benefit from AI. Are there any other areas of businesses that you would say AI could increase productivity?
So there are lots of areas it could improve productivity. If you, like you mentioned, with if you're using design tools, for example, to CAD, AutoCAD, and stuff, if you have that kind of business, it means you have engineering professionals who come up with these designs, right? Now, AI can help in certain aspects of that because it can generate these designs quicker than a human can, as long as you're able to guide it correctly. So, in that aspect, AI is more like the tool that does the repetitive tasks for your team. Your team should still be responsible for the thinking and giving the direction. We want to design a new glass bottle that does this, and that. What are the parameters with which we need to come up with these designs? And then you do a little back and forth because you need to understand who you're targeting, who the humans are that are going to use that as part of your customers and all of that. And then you say, let's come up with a few designs. You can bring AI to do that. You can tell AI, please, can you create 20 designs based on these parameters, 20 different designs. AI can easily do that in a short period of time as compared to having to do it as a human. So so that helps. It's also different from just telling it, come up with these designs for this kind of market, because the AI now has to think and then come up with the designs. But I've seen that the best ways of doing that kind of thing is you do the thinking and then you ask it to do the work, and then it just goes over and over and over again. So that's one way. In businesses that deal with a lot of data, that's a very good space where AI can help, because you might have heard that data is the new oil and so on, but just having data sit there, it doesn't do anything. You have to extract it, you have to extract meaning out of it, you have to get the story out of it, and you have to make sense of it, apply it in your business, and then you have the advantages. But when you have vast amounts of data, it's sometimes hard to identify what the patterns are. What businesses typically do is they have predefined patterns that they just check for over and over. So in this industry, this is what we look for. And then they have their data and then they run those algorithms and pick out their patterns. But AI can help you identify patterns that you haven't seen, new angles that you are missing based on the data you have. So you can bring AI to work with those large amounts of data and to generate and identify patterns you haven't seen before. And when you look at it, you see, oh, so we have been neglecting this geographic area for a while. But it turns out that when they buy our products, we get more sales from that area immediately, and the value of the sale is higher, even though they don't buy as much, but they buy more. And like, oh, so maybe let's go for this market. So you can help identify so many of these kind of patterns that you won't see. And AI loves data, you know. And again, if it's where you have a gap in knowledge, you can bring in consultants like us to come in and help you identify, these wins.
Yeah, and I must agree with that because a few years ago, many years ago, my cousin who works for a sort of software company, he just mentioned once that he's happy to go through the data from my CRM system and just see what he can come up with, or just see what are the patterns. And he used a tool called Tableau, which
Yeah.
is for big data,
Yeah.
and was fascinating. He didn't know much about the business itself, so he could only rely on the tool. And indeed, it was able to specify, like you say, geographical areas that provided the best type of projects for us, and
Mm.
also the project size. There was a clear correlation between profitability and project size, which it's very difficult to come up with your on your own, because you biased because of all the noise that you hear and you're exposed to during everyday operations.
Exactly. I'll give you another story that has to do with business data. I read, this was so many years ago. I think maybe it happened here in the UK or in the US, I'm not sure. A, a dad found out that his daughter was pregnant because of a delivery that came in that had to do with baby products. Now, how did that happen? Her shopping pattern was detected by the supermarket, and it indicated that, this person is either pregnant or trying to find out if they're pregnant, something around, pregnancy. So you might
Right.
have seen that maybe you bought certain things that test maybe whether you're pregnant or not, and then maybe even follow up things you bought, which now show that, oh, you have confirmed. Therefore, to win more business, I think they sent a particular package or some kind of gift card or something. And it was the dad that received it. So he now found out his daughter was pregnant through that. Another one is there is a store that so when you go to where they sell beer, they now stack the baby diapers there as well, which is a weird combination, beer and baby diapers. But what they found out was during the weekends, especially on Fridays, that when people come in and buy, packs of beer, they end up also buying nappies for their children. And they found out that, so their data was telling them that. And so they said, okay, if people always buy this, we just keep these two things together. But the real reason behind it was the wives would tell the husbands, since you're going to the store to buy some drinks, please help us get some baby diapers while you're there. And that happened not just in one family, in several other families. So they detected that pattern.
Right.
And I'm sure it was at different aisles. You have to buy the beer here, walk all the way down and buy. They just brought those two together. So you just come in, pick your beer, and then, so that's what data can do. And I can give you one more example, which is like the lack of proper research and data. That there was this village in Cameroon that didn't have access to clean water. So you have all these globally funded kind of projects. They come in there and then they build like a source of water. You have a borehole or some kind of well that the community can use. Because the women there had to walk miles to go and fetch water, carry water on their heads, and then bring it back for their daily use. But what they found out was after they spent all this money and built these wells and the boreholes, the women didn't go there to fetch water. They still went all the way down to the stream, so many miles away, fetched the water, carry it on their head, and come back. But then you have this access to water very close to you within the community, and they never used it. So when they asked them why don't they use it, they said that because of the tradition in the village, these women are not usually allowed to go out that much, and that they're always at home. So the only opportunity they have to go out and chat and interact with other women is when they go to fetch water.
Right.
So they would rather do that, walk miles to go and fetch water, than to just come out quickly and get water from this new borehole that they have. So they never used it. And that's, spending money on a project without doing proper research, without the data. So that's what some businesses might be doing. You're pushing a lot of money doing a particular thing, but because you lack the data and the insights, where AI can help you pull out, you keep on just spending money and you're not getting the results that match. Yeah.
Right. So if someone would like to work with you, what's the process? Where does it start? Are there any like steps?
So when we have like the initial call, we try to understand what the person wants to achieve. And we find out what their goals are. So sometimes you say they have an internal team, they do a lot of manual work, they want to get rid of that. So we try and understand what they want to achieve. Who else is on the team and stuff? Where do they want to, what do they have on ground? What are the systems they use? So it's just an initial call to understand what they want. But the very first thing we do is to try and come up with a prototype of the solution, or some kind of proof of concept. And we use anything between 4 to 6 weeks to sit down and embed ourselves in that business. We carry out workshops with all the stakeholders. Sometimes we can get all of them in one place, sometimes we can't. So we do several different places. And all we're doing is just trying to extract all the information we can get about what they want. Then we take all of that and try and convert it into some visual designs of how the solution would work. Because for us, even just having the list of what they need works, but then you have to show it back to them for them to see it. All our interactions, this is what it seems you want. And then that's where you even start a new round of interactions because, like, oh, okay, this is how it's going to look. Can we do this? Can we do that? So you just get more info. Once we have the prototype, we now move to implementing that particular solution where we have several iterations. So we break it down in bits and pieces, like mini projects, and then we keep on building and improving on it until we deliver that solution. Then the last phase of it is to provide them with support because you need to keep the software running, you need to make adjustments along the way, and we run that as well. So that's how we help businesses, and that's our process.
Right. Okay. Well, it does sound like it's a big project to implement software.
Yes, it is. And that's why we do that initial prototyping because we want to minimize the risks as much as possible. And then to add to it, because it's mostly custom, you can't really tell how much it would cost to do. So that's why when you do the prototyping, you have a fixed cost for that and you're able to, iterate and pull out everything you need. Once you have the prototype done, then it's very clear what needs to be built. And then you can tell how long it would take, how much it would cost, and then you can start, we work on it. Yeah.
Right. And will that allow business owners to scale faster?
Yes, I believe so. There's only so much you can do with existing tools. If you're so small in business, those existing generic tools may be the only thing you can afford and use. But as you grow, typically what happens is you pick up different pieces of software here and there. And then you begin to see it works for a while, but then you start getting stuck again because you have data siloed in all these different systems. And then you have processes running, and then you're trying to go digital, but then you're still doing things manually. So it's at that point where you need to have some kind of integrated custom solution that solves your specific needs and processes. And once you're able to do that, it just elevates you above your competition because you have something that works. But I tell people the real secret there is it's not just the software that's custom built, but it's custom made to fit into the culture of your company. It's almost like it's another employee that understands your culture and other employees and the way you do things.
Wow.
So you have your staff now using this system without thinking twice. It's just so intuitive for them because this is how they talk about these things, this is how they refer to these things, and this is how they do these things. So the software just fits like a very good glove. And it gives you that advantage, really. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 and I must agree with that 100%. When I grew my business, software was the key to our success. It was the backbone of our business, and indeed, it would not have been possible without help from external companies. So anyone listening to the podcast, if you want to scale faster, and this is what the podcast is about, you really have to embed and get technology into your company. And then I really recommend you basically reach out to Bulama at Intellectual Apps UK. So, Bulama, thank you very much for today, for the insights. Hopefully, we discussed enough about AI, the hype, and then, as per the subject line, beyond the AI hype, so that we can now, sort of in a wise way, implement it into our businesses.
Yes, yes. Thank you for having me. Thank you for this
Cheers.
discussion.
Thank you very much, Bulama.